Good evening, Nick.
Good evening, Alistair. How are we doing?
Doing very well and very excited about Saturday and very grateful that you're going to be a speaker there as well. It's going to be a very good day and delighted that you've stepped up to speak about these matters. And before we get into just why these matters motivate you, please could you, by way of introduction, tell the viewers a bit about your journey. Why are you How did you get to the point where you're sitting where you are with a We Say It banner in the background, which is the name of your podcast?
So, pretty much, I've always been very outspoken. I've had very strong opinions on various different things. And I finally just got to the point where I decided, you know what? I've said enough to certain people. I now need to say it to a bigger audience. I need to allow my voice to be heard, not only for myself and my family, but for the people of Scotland, for the country that I live in, the country that I love, and what's been doing to the country or what's been done to the country is something that I would never thought I would have seen in my lifetime. But I decided that enough is enough and I now need to speak up. And that's where I led to where I am. And I named it We Say It simply because of my slogan on the back of my jumper is we say it how it is, as it is, we say it podcast. Because I don't beat about the bush. I just say it. And sometimes it gets me in trouble, sometimes it doesn't.
When you say in trouble, have you had any issues with social media platforms um, and you're you're saying it?
I have had maybe a dozen videos removed from YouTube for misinformation, medical misinformation, hateful behaviour, hate speech. Now, bearing in mind that these videos take me about anything between 8 to 12 hours worth of work on the streets of Glasgow and the streets of Edinburgh and further afield to try and get just a 30-minute video. 12 hours of work for a 30-minute video, and YouTube rip it down like it's nothing. Not only YouTube, but I have tried to grow on TikTok as well. I have just passed the 3,000 follower mark on TikTok, which has been a bit of a struggle because every other week I'm banned on TikTok as well. So
Do you think it's because of people, using this word again, making malicious reports because they don't, like your message or they cut your jib or something like that?
that is it. They're scared of the truth. They don't want to accept the truth. The truth, and the best part about it is the truth isn't coming from my mouth. I'm just purporting the truth. The truth is coming from the higher ups. They're telling you in plain sight what they're going to do. But people are living in this false reality, this false delusion where they think that everything is all sunshine and rainbows, that the government can do no wrong, that the government have got our best interest at heart, where they don't. But what people need to remember is the government are meant to work for us. We do not work for them. And I think this is where people forget that we can effectively tell them what to do, not the other way about.
Yeah, that's a good point, and it's the same with this issue at the moment with the hate speech. It's the old view which I cling to is that the police are there as servants of the people, and that's that works until you start bringing in ideology into it, and you start then having ideological policing, and the police are basically policing things as a consequence of what they're t- told. They're like, how should I put this? maintaining government policy. We saw that in 2020. We're seeing it just now with all the hate speech and the police deciding what has broken the ideological barrier here. Oh, that's not approved speech. And so the police are being asked to make, it's ideological policing, and the police are being asked to police on the basis of ideology, government ideology, when it shouldn't really have ever got into those grounds. It should simply be, oh, you threw a brick through my glass house. Yeah, we're going to arrest you for that. You nicked somebody's bike. That's wrong. We're going to find you and stop you doing that. Like simple stuff, breaking the law things, not, oh, he's made a thought crime. He's made an ideological error. You know, he's committed a sin against the ruling ideology. That's not for the police to get involved in. At least it shouldn't be. And to the extent that they have to, it should be a bare minimum kind of thing.
Well, here's the funny thing. If you stand up in a court of law, you're asked to swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. That is what you are under oath. Now, if you are standing there being trialed by a jury of your peers in a courtroom to swear to tell the whole truth when it comes to a hate crime for something that you have said, okay?
Mm-hmm.
If you lie, then you are lying. But if you are simply stating an objective fact or the truth, regardless whether it's hateful or not, you are under oath to do that. So how can they sentence you for doing that when people need to think about it that way?
Yeah. Good point. So you're still broadcasting then on TikTok?
I'm trying. I'm absolutely trying. My TikToks are very few and far between. I tend to post more videos rather than do live broadcasts. And my videos are received with very varied messages. I am the man with a label on many labels now. And it's quite refreshing to know that when people hate you, you must be doing something right. That's the way I like to look at it. If you were doing something, wrong, of course you would be told you're doing something wrong. But the majority of my podcast, as it were, are over on Rumble. And that's for a varied amount of reasons why.
Right. Well, we just put up your TikTok one there, which is tiktok.com/@ WeSayItPodcast.
Thank you very much.
Requires that @ thing. But so you said you're on Rumble now. Let's put up your Rumble address. What took you over to Rumble?
So initially, obviously, I didn't start on Rumble. I did start with YouTube and TikTok and Instagram and everything else, but the censorship was just too much. And I've been on Rumble for a long time now as a viewer because I didn't have the facilities to do live on Rumble. But I have now heavily invested in my equipment to be able to do Rumble lives because this is something that I'm not just going to give up tomorrow. This is now a journey. This is now a mission. This is now a fight against, the people. We know who we're talking about. And Rumble is the last bastion for free speech, along with X, formerly known as Twitter. Rumble has the marketing, Rumble has the platform, Rumble has the app, and it is built on the back of free speech. That is what they are building their business on. And we need to support the people who are supporting freedom of speech because this is only the beginning of this in Scotland. We are the puppets. We are the test subjects for this type of law. If people think that it's only going to be implemented in this country, you need to open your eyes. You need to understand that we are just the testing ground. and it's only going to start building and building and building and going to more countries and becoming even more stricter in places where the policing is even more stricter than what we have in this country.
Yeah. Yes, I think so. And Rumble's very interesting in that regard, is that it does seem to be quite a bastion, holding out as much as possible, in a way that YouTube simply isn't. And that's a reflection of its owners, and no doubt its investors and so on, who have got a much greater commitment to that kind of freedom of speech. And I think you're right. If you're involved in talking about things that YouTube are just going to ban you for, and that includes, and we broadcast on YouTube, so I'm not even going to say things out loud, but they do have a list that you can look at on YouTube, and anything to do with medicine and not going along with certain elements of that, or not going along with the results of elections, for example, that's another thing that you'll get banned for on YouTube, but you'll at least get a strike. And so if one was speaking about any of these kind of issues, there's simply no future for you to do it on YouTube, whereas building up a Rumble audience is of value. But don't you find, like on Rumble, it's probably mainly Americans?
No, Rumble is actually becoming very, very known worldwide. And it's because of specific people in this world who are promoting Rumble and sticking up for it, as it were. I think in the past 6 months alone, Rumble has had nearly a dozen court cases because of what it does and what it stands for. Now, if you have that many people trying to take down your platform, there is a reason why they're doing that. It's because they know that the people who are on there are speaking the truth and waking up the populace. Not only, like, in the terms of things, Scotland is a very, very small country. The UK is a very, very small country, but it has a massive impact on what happens in Western culture and the Western civilization. So as a demographic, we are massive, but as an island, we are very, very small. So when you are on a platform like Rumble and you say the things like I say, which I'm not going to say on certain platforms, when people start to listen to you and actually understand the information that you're giving them, when they go to search another platform to be like, I want to find out if this is true, what he is saying, you won't find it, or you will find an alternative where they spin it and make you sound like a right-wing conspiracy theorist and all of this stupid labels, you know. Because I believe there is specific things coming for us all, and I'm 99% certain it's coming. But I think we're going to discuss that on a later date. So we'll save that one for a later date. But
Good.
while we're on the basis of Rumble, which I have my trusted little coffee cup,
Oh yeah.
you can support Rumble. And if you're a coffee drinker, you can buy the 1775 coffee, which is proudly run by the people at Rumble.
Oh yeah.
And you can stop supporting certain companies who do certain things.
There you
That's
go.
all I'm going to say. 1775 coffee.
1775. That's
Cheers.
Alex Jones always talks about 1776. So I wonder why they took it a year previous to that. Maybe that was when presumably that's when the American Revolution started to get going, I suppose.
Coffee of the future. Build your muscles.
Yeah. Well, we're looking forward to seeing you on Saturday. And what I would suggest is you'll be speaking from our platform. We've got a good PA system this time. Well, we've always got a good PA system, but this is a particularly good one. We've got two speakers, two, what do you call them? The
Like
cabinets,
boombox.
cabinets,
Like,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so we'll be able to be well heard. So folks, do come along to that, and you'll be speaking. So I'm glad to introduce you to people tonight.
I'm looking forward to it. I have written a speech, as it were, but knowing myself, it'll get rolled up into a ball and thrown over my shoulder, and I will say what comes from my heart and my head, because that is what I do. I don't, you know, dull things down for people to understand. I just say whatever comes to my head, and it comes out.
Well, absolutely, absolutely, and it's always good to write stuff down just to help to order the thoughts, and then I find once you've got it written down, it's your brain kind of remembers it, and then in the heat of the moment, you're able to simply talk extemporaneously, as a consequence of you already having sort of prepared your subconscious with the general material that you want to get out there. So that would be good. And what I also suggest is when you're not speaking, make sure, please, that you've got a camera or something so that you're taking videos of things that are happening and or speeches that people might be saying, and you use them. Get them out on your platforms, whether TikTok, Rumble, Twitter,
I am
whatever.
going to try and film the majority of it myself. Not myself, sorry. My cameraman is actually attending that does my camera
Excellent.
work with me when I'm out in
Excellent.
Glasgow and Edinburgh. So he will be the cameraman for myself and anybody else throughout the day. And also, if anybody wants to come and speak to me on a personal level and you wish to get a bit of insight into some things, you are open to do so. You will see the infamous red hat that I seem to wear in every one of my videos and every one of my pictures. It's always the same hat. Just look out for that. And obviously I will have my jumper on as well.
Good.
And any other, the only thing that I would ask of the people is to just simply follow the X account and follow the Rumble. That's all I ever ask of anybody. The one thing that that is the only one thing that I genuinely need from the public is the more people that can hear the message of yourself and myself and other people is to just simply follow the people. Because I did notice when I posted Niall's speech from the 1st of April, the amount of comments that were, I wish I knew this was on, or where can I find this, etc., etc. To those people, you're obviously not following the correct pages. You're not following the correct people on social media. So if you want to know the real information, if you want the real up to the minute information, the likes of yourself and me and a few others, just follow the accounts. That's all I ask.
That's such a good point as well. Such a good point, because you're not going to hear about this on so many other accounts, and so it's really, as you say, I totally second that emotion. That's what you've got to do. You've got to be following the right accounts so you get the right information. Otherwise, these things are just going to pass you by. And talking about your accounts, for the benefit of people who'll be listening on the audio-only podcast, your X account is x.com or twitter.com/WeSayItPodcast, all one word. And the Rumble account is rumble.com/user//WeSayItPodcast, all one word.
A little bit of a mouthful there, but we get there.
Absolutely. And once you're there, it's well worth the journey, as they say. Well, just to build on what you were saying there as well, I'd ask everybody else who's watching, if you're at the event on Saturday, please do bring your cameras, do take photographs, put them up on your social media platforms, do take videos. Please feel free to blast them around on social media, because that's the way that our side gets out the information. We can't rely upon STV or BBC. Hopefully they'll be there. I'd like to think that they'll interview us. I'd like to think that they'll speak to Nick and so on. But chances are they might not. So we're relying upon everybody that's got one of these fantastic new inventions called a mobile phone or a camera, and please do make the most of it. Nick, great to speak with you. Looking forward to seeing you on Saturday. We'll be there from 1:15. We're expecting their speeches to begin around about 2 o'clock. We'll be starting our speeches round about the same time as them. It'll all depend upon the day and the dynamics of where we're situated and so on and so forth. But it's going to be an exciting event. Thanks very much for being on the programme.
Not a problem. Thank you for having me on and allowing me to come on your platform. I know it was a kind of a lot about me, but I appreciate it any other way. But we will definitely arrange, my apologies, a future one, and we will go into depth, I think, on the things that we need to watch what we're saying.
Well, absolutely, and I've been on your show before on Rumble, which I very much enjoyed. That was 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I do look forward to being on your show again with you, Nick. So just remains for me to say all the best to you, and see you on Saturday.
Absolutely, look forward to it.